Right. So today the topic is tent making still relevant today? And I would say yes, it's very relevant. So I'll share a few things, and yeah, so then we can discuss. So in 1989, Lausanne, there was a mission consultation. So kind of every 10 years they have it. So they concluded that tent making is going to be uh, a key factor to finish the unfinished task, right? Okay, so these are my resources. I've shared the PPT with Sundar. If you would like to have a look, you can take it from him. Okay, so these are my resources. And our priority. So do we want to go home? Where is our home? Our home is heaven. This is not our home. This is a temporary place. Kind of all of us are aliens here. So we live here for a few years. Some of us, some individuals live for a shorter time. Some of us live longer. But anyhow, we want to go home. So if you want to go home, this is probably the only verse I'll read today, Matthew 24:14. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in the whole world for a testimony unto all the nations, and then shall the end come. So it's our task to take the gospel to every tribe, every nation, so and make disciples, and then Jesus said he will come. So maybe this task is not yet finished. This is one perspective. Yeah, so if you want to go home fast, so we have to do some work, so that is taking the gospel across. Okay, so this is called the 1040 window. Now things have changed a little bit, but still this is the important part of the world that is still predominantly unreached. Now you can go to Joshua Project and get a lot of information about what is happening currently. So majority of these countries are Muslim, where people can't get in easily through other means like traditional missionary means. Okay, so most of the people, most of the unreached peoples are peoples. When I say peoples, I mean tribes. I mean particular cultural people group. Yeah, so most of the peoples are in this particular window, 10/40 window. India also falls in this window. But yeah, there are a lot of unreached peoples in India, but predominantly on the Muslim side, there is still enormous work to be done. Yeah, majority of them are Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists. Missionaries are not welcome in many of the places, many of the countries also. Tent makers are welcome everywhere. So that is what I'm here to talk about. Okay, just a brief about India. So India has 25% of world's unreached peoples. Only about 340 out of the 4,635 peoples are evangelized. So there is a certain way they measure it. So we need not be very strict with it, but just an approximate number. So still there is enormous work to be done even within India. Yes, ministry is in progress among 3,000 plus people. So yeah, India is home to second largest Muslim population, and we speak about 1,600 languages. Yeah, so let me start with Karnataka. So you're in Bangalore, and around you there are a lot of places where there are very few Christians, and this is a statistics about Muslim population in Karnataka. So there are a lot of pockets. The darker green are the densely populated Muslim areas. So there are a lot of pockets around Bangalore where still enormous work is to be done. Yeah, so if you're not interested in coming out of Bangalore, you can go for outreach to many of these places, and I think you will know better. Just wanted to mention. If you look at the northern part of India, so you can see the statistics. So Christians are very less. Like Himachal, for example, is just 0.2%, and even that 0.2%, if you see how many are believers, you can hardly you can hardly count with your fingers, so there is a joke about Himachal that there could be more number of pastors than believers in Himachal. It could be true, it's possible, only God knows. So you see, it is very scarcely populated Christian population. This one calculation I did. So if you take the total number of Christians in India, and if you eliminate these states, the 12 states that I put out here, in the remaining states there are only 2.4% of the total Christians in India. Okay, so you can have a look at this PDF, this number. So that is something that is alarming, right? So 98% of the Christians in India live in these states. So that speaks volumes, so the rest of India has only 2.4% of the total Christians in India, right? Okay, so when we talk about missionaries, so there is a regular missionary, so we know that they are sent by an organization, they go full time, and they are paid by the organization. And tent maker is also a missionary. He has the same objective. Why I put them in this category? Because they have the same objective, to reach the unreached, the same commitment. There is a lot of sacrifice that a tent maker has to go through. Both are biblical and both are effective. Okay, who is a tent maker? He's a missionary. He supports himself at least partially. I'll come to that little later. He's in a cross-cultural environment. He leaves his own people group and he goes out into a different cultural group. He does full-time evangelism, in the sense that he may not be preaching the gospel always, but he is living there as a witness and sharing the gospel vocally whenever opportunity presents. He is one like the world around him. So in the sense that he's like anybody else. Like for me, for example, I am known as a professor in NIT Hamirpur, so that is how people know me. And so I'm one among the people here, so like that, a tent maker can become like one among the people group that he wants to reach. Okay, who is not a tent maker? Any Christian living in a cross-cultural environment is not a tent maker. Okay, one who is not involved in reaching the unreached is also not a tent maker. So somebody has moved here but is not actively reaching out, the unreached, cannot be called as a tent maker. Some people's priorities have changed, so their priorities are now career, money, name, fame, etc. So they are also cannot be called as tent makers. Someone playing just a supportive role in a cross-cultural setup also cannot be called as a tent maker. Okay, so according to the so I'll skip this part. I think you must have known. So if you do not know, you can read these verses. Okay, where are the missionaries? So if you look at this map, this is a slightly older map, but it's still relevant. So how many missionaries are there per million residents? So that is what this map tells you. So the darker the color, the lesser the missionaries per million residents. So if you see, India is far better. So India has roughly about 50 missionaries per million residents. So but you see the darker places, so where China could be slightly better now, but still, yeah, there are very few missionaries in many of these places and many of these countries where the population is enormous. So most of them are Muslim countries. Okay, I want to make this point and stress this point. The easy enemy possessions have been captured. Now the strongholds are left, meaning the places that can be easily occupied, so they are all taken, and the difficult places, the difficult people groups, the tough nations, the tough places, the tough countries, they are left. They are yet to be unreached. So we need to take bigger risks. Some of us have to sacrifice with our life to reach those people groups. Okay, so why not many regular missionaries? Our missionaries means regular missionaries sent by IEM, FMPP, like that, among the least reached, unreached. Why are we not able to see? The reason being, most of the unreached are strong Muslim. Some of them are strong Hindu. Some of them are very strong Buddhist people groups. So it's hard to get in. No missionary is permitted within the country or the region. The people group does not welcome missionaries. We can see this even in India. Trends are changing. Heavy persecution is there in many places. Doubts rise. So someone is paying him to convert people. So people talk about it all the time. So even in India, that's the case in some places. If we send missionaries alone, there are a lot of people have faced isolation and loneliness in pioneering places. It's hard. People have lived for decades and have not seen a single person knowing Jesus, and it's very lonely. It's tough. Longer survival becomes difficult, so missionaries have to change places, move out, or kicked out, and things like that. Okay, so there are three options for everyone. Every Christian can take one of these three roles. I want to witness where I am. You can choose that, or you can go as a regular missionary, or you can be a tent maker. So we have to choose one of these three options. All three are necessary. I want to stress this. Nothing is better than the other, but we just have to remember, we have too many I will witness wherever I am people. So often we hear people saying, okay, I'm here, so I will witness here. I am not willing to change my job or move to a different place, change my skills. That's not what we often naturally hear. Many more missionaries are required, but plenty more tent makers are required. Some statistics say the ratio of missionaries versus tent makers is put as 1:20. So for every one full-time worker, we need at least 20 tent makers around them to work together, to give that synergy. Witness where I am. Okay, so if you want to choose this, I just have few suggestions. So focus on the unreached peoples. So around you there are a lot of unreached peoples. So instead of hanging out with known people and Andhra, Tamil, Kerala, Kannada people, you can go out and make friends from the unreached peoples. You can make friends with North Indians. It's possible that many of the North Indians that you are friends with may not be from a reached people group. Make friends with Buddhists, Muslims, atheist nations. I know in Bangalore is full of people from other countries. A lot of people from other countries, from needy countries. This is my policy. This is what we follow as a family also. We refuse to do what others can do. You say if somebody can do this, okay, so let them do it. Okay, so let's do something that nobody is doing. So it's often the case that for one job there'll be 10 people willing to do that. That should not be our case. If somebody can do that, let's go and look for things that other people cannot do. So the unique skills God has given us, we should try to do that. Paul said this: it was always my ambition to preach the gospel where Christ was not known. In 15th chapter of Romans. So this should be our ambition. So okay, so gospel is preached here. Let me move somewhere else. Look around, see for places where gospel is not preached. What can I do? And support and work together with missionaries in small ways possible. So a lot of things that people can do. So there are resources available. There are these days we have Zoom and technology. We can do a lot of things sitting in one place. Support missionaries around, support tent makers around. William Carey said this: you hold the rope, I will climb into the pit. So some of them are in the field and people who want to stay back has to have to hold the rope, so support, give support. Okay, advantages of being a tent maker. no I want to stress this. There is no closed door for tent maker. A tent maker can find his way into even the remotest place, even the most secluded countries, closed countries. We can find a way in. We have to adapt, we have to change our skills, but it is possible to get in. Okay, he's not paid by a foreign agency to convert people. So that's one thing that is good. So because he is seen as a earning person on the field, he gets identity and acceptance. That's something that is very good these days. So to be accepted by the community. Access to influential people and places. So yeah, we can go to places. So I meet with some ministers in Himachal, which may not be possible otherwise. We can meet with good influential people. We can be a Christian friend in our workplace, in our neighborhood. So it's possible that we are the only Christian that 1,000 odd people have met. They have not met another Christian in their life. It's possible. Okay, we receive salary, or we earn to support our family, ministry, and also regular missionaries. So that's something nice. So my kind of job are rare, but yeah, if we can get these kind of jobs, I support myself, support the ministry, and also support other missionaries. And mission task force, so we can join as a team and do things together as a team. We can open our home in places where people have not seen Jesus. So non-believers can come home, cook food together, have fun together, play games together, and study Bible together. We can continue ministry for long. So if we go take a job and sit there, learn the culture, learn the language, be one among them, we can stay put for a long time. It's a reproducible strategy among new believers. It's possible to repeat this model. So yeah. Okay, but it doesn't come without challenges. So challenges are finding a suitable job. Now I want to make a point here. So we have to change our job. So for example, as Joshua said, I was working in a VLSI company, a design company, an electronics design company. I love design, but I never wanted to become a teacher. But I had to change my job to come here and start teaching. I told my mother that if I survive my first 6 months, I will probably survive. If I don't, I'll come back. But I survived my first 6 months and I'm here. So yeah, we have to change the job. So not necessarily a government job, not necessarily a very well-paying job. When I joined as a contract employee for about 20,000 per month. That was a fixed salary. For about 2.5 years we survived. I got married, and accidentally I got a permanent government job, but that was not the aim at all. So yeah, right. So balancing work and life and ministry is tough sometimes. I think it's the same case in Bangalore also. It's no different. So these challenges remain. Cultural shock. So first few years will be tough to adapting to that culture. So we decided to cut off a lot of our relationships in the south so that we can focus getting to know people here and adapt to this culture. So food habits. So we cook Himachali food, and yeah, we do cook South Indian food, but most often we eat Himachali food. Local language. To learn that language is hard work. Now for example, I'm not very good in language. I did not read or write Hindi before coming here. So yeah, it's tough. There is loneliness, there is discouragement, spiritual dryness is there, and sometimes it's pretty dry We don't meet another believer for days, months. No, maintaining a consistent prayer life and Bible study could get tougher. Staying accountable, sometimes we are just left alone. For example, we are the only family in Hamirpur, and there is no church, there is no other graduate or any family that we can go to. So we are on our own, so we are just directly accountable to God. So I often joke that I'm directly connected to the universal church. There is no mediator church as such. No, network across denominations and organizations could be difficult, so some of them won't want to cooperate with us. Some of their belief systems are different. Okay, yeah, avoid regional groupism. So since we've all come here as South Indians, so it's easy to get together as South Indians, so we have to get away from that culture and get closer with native people, so make friends here. So so in months together we speak at least only once or twice with our South Indian friends in Himachal. So we try to avoid that. Okay, so there are different kinds of tent makers, so just want to take you through that, so you can go through this in detail later. So T1, I call it T1. So it's a person like me who has a full-time job in a secular place, is fully supported, self-supported, and is welcome everywhere, and he has all the advantages of being a tent maker. And the struggles are, since there is a full-time job, the struggle could be to balance life and ministry. T2 is somebody can have a part-time job. Okay, so it could be secular, or I would strongly advise freelancing these days. There are plenty of options for freelancing, and there is plenty of option to generate passive income. I'll touch upon that a little bit later. And so I would model T2. So this is from a thesis. Okay, so I've taken and modified it for Indian circumstances. So tent maker can also be partially supported, so that's not wrong. Okay, so we should have organizations supporting tent makers partially. Society welcomes it, but there is a little suspicion because he's not working long, but how is he managing? So most of the advantages are still there, and lots of spare time because he works less than 5 hours a day. And yeah, there are some disadvantages I mentioned. T3 is could be full-time or part-time, but so he doesn't work in a secular environment. He works with an NGO or as a freelancer or generates passive income. Is partially supported. So sometimes society or people do not accept him, so it depends. And there are actually many advantages, and he has a lot of time because he's a freelancer, or he has passive income, or he's part of an NGO, so an NGO that is understanding. So he can decide when to meet people, when to spend time with people, and when to do his work. So that gives him enormous time in his hands. And yes, there is a possibility that people might question his motives. Why is he here? He doesn't go for work, like that. Yeah, there is a fourth option, that is own business or completely freelancing, sit at home and do things, kind of. He could be fully supported on his own. He can generate his income on his own. He is welcome everywhere, in the sense that if we say we do a business, and he's welcome everywhere. And he can also have spare time, provided our businesses gives us enough time, right? So, but the struggle still remains if it is a business. If it's freelancing or passive income, then that's fantastic. Right. Misconceptions, little bit. Some people think tent making is not good because of certain reasons. So they cannot be called missionaries. Tent making is only a part-time missionary. So it's not like that, because we get a lot of opportunities to witness in our workplace. People ask questions. There are stands we need to take. There are decisions, choices we make, which people watch. And there are a lot of opportunities to present the gospel during our in our workplace also. And through our work we establish we be a light to the community, and we can share who Jesus is and why we are like that, so that makes a deeper impact actually. So it's not that Tentmaker only does ministry in his free time, but his life itself in a remote place could be a great testimony. Okay, so other misconception is doesn't have adequate time for ministry. Jobs do take up time. So this is where I will insist, you can't take any job. You have to choose your job. You have to change your skills. You have to adapt yourself to so that you have enough time. Now the job that I have gives me almost 3 months vacation, and all weekends are off, mandatory off. Saturday, Sundays are off. Plus I come home by sharp 5:30. So I don't think there is a better job than this. So it gives an enormous free time for you to do things, meet people, plan. So Tentmakers requesting financial support is wrong. That is also not correct. Tentmakers should be supported. This concept is still not there in India, but I keep telling people, organizations, that this has to be done. So only then more people can come and not actually worry about raising full support for managing their own financial needs. So they can come out more freely. Tent makers cannot witness on the job. I've already answered that. They can. There are plenty of opportunities. Have conflicting priorities, like I said, some of them or some of us start focusing on career and promotion and things like that, which should not be the case. That is not why we have come. We have come for a different purpose. So whether we get promotion or not, we have to stay focused. Tent makers do not learn the local language. So this is if there is somebody like that, that's wrong. We have to put every effort to learn the local language. We may not be an expert, but we should try our best to communicate always in the local language. And no support system or accountability, and that is another problem in India. We need a good support system. So we need somebody to help and to discuss and to correct and to give feedback, and something is not right to point out. So we need a system. We need a good accountability structure. Okay, I will leave this slide also. I've kept it, and you can go through this later. Some possible jobs I'll just quickly briefly go through. So you have the traditional jobs that everybody knows. I'll skip that. You can start a business, but I would not highly recommend that, because enormous time goes in that, unless you are in a business where you meet a lot of new people every day. So you have started a business, kind of a coffee house type, where every day you have opportunity to meet a lot of new people, or you're doing some training. That's fantastic, but I'm not sure, I'm not very convinced about starting a software company or things like that. And industries I would not recommend, because the workload is pretty heavy. Some of the industries ask you to work for in excess of 12 hours a day, which may not be a good idea. But that's again, it depends. Okay, so the things in red I would highly recommend. So some of you might be very experienced in some of your fields, so you can come as a consultant, or you can start doing training. That's fantastic. So there is a lot of scope for training, and you can be a freelancer if you have some skill. If you don't have a skill, develop it. I'm developing my skill as a cartoon animator or an artist. So I had interest in 3D. So you can develop your skills. You can be a writer or an editor or a simple typing, documentation person. So you can be a freelancer, and there is plenty of possibilities to earn, support yourself fully. So I'm not talking about some income, but you can support yourself fully. It's possible, and I've seen it. People are doing it. Okay. And passive income is another thing that I would really encourage. If you're coming out, it will be good if you have some sort of income coming in. So some of the options I've listed, you can write a book, put it in Amazon, KDP, and you can get some money from it regularly. Or you have some online courses, you have some skill, you can teach that and put it somewhere like Skillshare, and you can generate some passive income. Okay, this slide also I will leave it to you. So how to prepare, I put some points. And yeah, the last thing at the end, on how to prepare. Okay, so some of my friends or some people, I hear them say that I am still preparing myself, I'm still getting ready. When I'm ready, I will move. So if you wait until you are totally ready, you will never go. Like how we preach the good news also. Only if I am a perfect Christian, I will start preaching the gospel. Then when will we be a perfect Christian? When we meet God, Jesus will come back. So that will be too late. So yeah, we have to wait till a certain preparedness, but we need not wait forever. Yeah. Okay, so you can come as a missionary student. I think everybody's working, so I'll skip this. Right, so some usual questions I get. So I did not receive a call, brother. I did not hear from God asking me to go as a tent maker. Now that's not biblical. I strongly oppose this view of God's will. Every Christian is called, rather commanded. We know that. Jesus has asked us to go. Now what else are we waiting for? You just have to choose your role based on your growing burden and your interests. So I've already shared with you. So if God is asking you to witness where you are, you do that. So in a sense, if that is the burden that is within you, you do that faithfully. If you want to go as a missionary, you go out, and if you want to come as a tent maker, you come out. So, and we have to go into difficult places, give our lives, sacrifices. So our family might be killed, our kids might be killed, or we might be killed. It's all right. So we have to come out like that. So you never ask the question, should I join this job offer that is given to me? So, or you never asked God before moving into Bangalore. So there are a lot of things we don't ask. And when we are called, and somebody says come as a tent maker or a missionary, so then we think, oh, I haven't received a call. So it's very unbiblical. That is a lame excuse. I cannot speak Hindi. If you say that, you are with me. I did not know Hindi until I came here. So if you have where there is a will, there is a way. That's a nice verse. 1 Corinthians 4:7. What do you have that you did not receive? Even your mother tongue is taught to you. So you did not receive it automatically like a chip plugged in. So you learnt it. So we can learn any language, we can learn any skill for that matter. It is not that there are some skills that we cannot acquire. All of us can acquire any skill that we want, because the wisdom comes from God. Abilities are God given. Okay, I do not know if I can get a job. Now you have to try, you have to change your skill. As I said, if you are working in a particular field or a particular software company and you want to just come and do the same work, that may not be possible. So when you want to move as a tent maker, the job is not the important thing. What is important is being in that community, trying to share gospel. So all that you have to think about is how to earn some money to keep my family running. So all that is all you need to think about. So you can learn a new skill or acquire some get some training or change your job. You have to think of something. So again, where there is a will, there is a way. Okay, so I think other facts I'll leave it. In case you have questions, we can discuss. Okay, the last slide. The problem today is not the lack of information. Now there is something called TMI in UES. I don't know if you know that, Tent Makers Initiative. Unfortunately, or fortunately, that was started by me. So I'm the responsible person. So I take full responsibility for unnecessarily starting that. Why I say unnecessarily? Because I thought that lack of information is the reason people are not moving out. But when after years of work, I realized it is not the lack of information. If people want information, they have ready sources to find it. But the lack of people who walk with the Lord intimately, I think this is what is lacking. So after years, it's 14 years since I moved out of Bangalore, and I can say this for sure. Sitting on the other side with a lot of quiet time to think about Bangalore and reflect on the past, I can say this for sure, that if we have enough people walking with the Lord intimately, there'll be a lot of people coming out of Bangalore. Bangalore should be a sending place. I'm not saying that every single person from Bangalore should move out, but I'm saying there should be a large number of people coming out of Bangalore frequently, or always. There should be people coming out regularly out of Bangalore. If that is not happening, then this is the reason that we do not have good people walking intimately with the Lord and willing to obey the Lord and take risks to display one's commitment for the Lord. Okay, so risk to the extent of losing your life. So when I talk with some of my friends, they say we are building houses, we have this project, we want to settle down in our hometown, and I ask why. Is that a commandment from the Lord? Is that what God asked us to do? Of course not. I'm not saying building a house is wrong. I personally have decided not to build a house. My dad has a house, but that's going to go to somebody else. That's already decided. I don't want a house. So that's not what God asked us to do. God asked us to go to places, go to people, and share His love. And we should not be unnecessarily get trapped in the world's patterns. So these are world's patterns. So get a good job, get married, settle down nicely, get a house, get a car, and live nicely, feed your family. So that's very selfish. And I think we should be willing to give our lives for God and try and go to places where we know it is a suicide mission. And there are some places, there are some people who've done that, and I think those are the kind of people we need. Yeah, thank you. I think I've done. So